Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nomads No Worries. Today, we are joined by Melissa Rodway. She is a travel writer and podcaster and creator of Fly Travel Radio, where she's interviewed hundreds of people about their worldwide adventures. We're also super excited to talk about the book she published this year called The People You Meet, which has hit Amazon's best-selling list for travel writing. So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Pleasure to meet the both of you.
Nice to meet you also.
Yeah, you as well. Let's get a little bit of your background, before we dive into all the really cool things that you've been up to. Let's talk about where it all started. It looks like you are from Canada. You're from Ontario. So you grew up in a small town, and then sounds like you might have lived in Australia at some point as a kid. Like, tell us a little bit about that and kind of your upbringing.
Yeah, so I am currently living in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, but I grew up in a small town about an hour and 15 minutes northeast of here. And in 1981, we lived in Australia for a year in a small bush town outside of Perth in Western Australia. So my dad was a teacher at the time, and we did a teacher exchange. So we swapped houses with another family and lived in a very remote area. Actually, we had to take like a bush path to get to school, and our school was really like in the middle of like a rainforest, really, I guess, or something like that. And yeah, it was quite a year. I mean, in 81, a lot of people weren't really, people were going to Australia, but it was a pretty novel thing. I mean, we went to Bali on vacation at one point, and Bali at that time, there were no tourists in Bali. So we were probably like one of very few people that were going there at that time. And I remember I had very, very blonde hair when I was young, and the locals in Bali were stopping us and giving us chocolate and touching my hair, thinking like that something magical was going to happen. And yeah, I mean, now I've not been back, but I know it's a very different place. So I was pretty young to have that experience. We also rented a van and traveled around Australia. We went to New Zealand, and yeah, it was a big deal. So I think that probably lit a bit of a fire in me for adventures. And my dad always said, there's life everywhere. It's not just in our small town. And I think, that might have kickstarted a few things. So that was a pretty big thing that happened when I was a kid. And then I would say my 20s were spent. I mean, I moved out west. I moved to Jasper, Alberta, which is in the Canadian Rockies, when I was 18. I had done an exchange to Belgium in high school when I was like 16 or 17. So yeah, I did that. I went to school in Montreal. I lived in Victoria, which was it's on Vancouver Island in Canada. So I was sort of jumping back and forth east to west for a few years. And then I landed in Toronto just over probably 20 years ago, and then started doing a lot of trips in my late 20s until now. I'm 50 now. I have no problem telling you that. And
thank you.
Yep. And yeah, so it's been a big part of my life, adventures, and trying to figure out, where to squeeze them in. And yeah, and then I started a podcast. It started as a radio show, actually, with the community radio station at the University of Toronto. So I started an adventure travel radio show there. And then it kind of phased into a podcast. And I did that for about 6-7 years, maybe. And then I took a year off and did some more traveling. And then I wrote this book that we'll probably talk about. And now here I am talking to you. So that's the Coles Notes of my life.
Awesome. No, thank you for that. I'm actually in Quebec City right now. I'm from the States, but just traveling and hanging out here while working remote for a bit. I was in Montreal just before this for like 6 weeks, and I love Montreal, one of my favorite cities I've ever been to. So
well, I love Quebec City. I spent 5 weeks there in 2023, and I would move there tonight if I had the opportunity. So I hope you're enjoying it. It's a magical place. I love that.
It's beautiful, possibly the most beautiful city in North America, I would say. The only thing is I don't speak French. So that's why I wouldn't maybe live here full time. I feel like I would need to learn French. Do you speak French?
I do, and you're not wrong. I mean, it's a fairly touristy city, so you're probably getting by, but there is quite a lot of French there. So I get what you're saying, but it is so beautiful. There's lots to do. And if you're an adventurous, outdoorsy person, it's the right place to live. I was there in the winter, so I love winter. And it was like insane with snow and all of that jazz, but that's right up my alley. So good for you. I'm glad you're enjoying it because not everyone has a chance to spend time there like that.
I guess essentially your family moving all the way around the world in 1981 must have been a crazy experience. I mean, probably not a lot of information readily available about like, what it was like there. You mentioned bush path. I don't even know what that is. Maybe you could like explain.
Yeah. So you're right about a lot of that. So yeah, in the 80s, I mean, who could have seen what was going to come our way, right, in terms of the internet? But back then, I mean, yeah, 1981, that was not happening. So it was a very different time to be adventurous and exploring, especially, my parents had 3 kids in tow. But what I mean by that is, yeah, we lived in this town called Rolly Stone, which is very small. It's like a hamlet, really. I mean, it might have changed since we were there. But our walk to school was basically through a path of like, trees and wildlife. And I think there were probably kangaroos somewhere in the distance. So it was pretty wild, actually. And yeah, there was like I remember this big tree that was just like full of bees, and you just didn't know. I mean, what you're getting into. I don't remember how long it took for us to get to school, but probably like 20 minutes. I don't know, a 20-minute walk to get there. And then the school was like just in the middle of basically like a rainforest, like jungle. Like it wasn't in the middle of anything. It was just like portables in a building surrounded by wildlife. So that was our existence. And yeah, we were young, so we had like Australian accents, and this was a different time, right, where parents had no clue what you were doing half the time. So I remember like my mom maybe walked me to school in the beginning, but you were with just all the other kids from the neighborhood going to school, and like there was really, no one was looking out for you. My brother got beaten up quite often in Australia due to his accent and his like bowl cut. And yeah, it was a wild time. So let me tell you, it wasn't like it is today. But it doesn't kill you.
Yeah.
Why did your dad choose something so far away? Was it just sort of like availability with the swap, or like did he always want to go there, or?
I think back in those days, teacher exchanges were actually pretty common, and the countries that you could do them with were obviously English speaking countries because they were going to switch jobs and communities and all of that. So we met other families that were doing something similar. So there were other Canadian families going to Australia at the time, but you could go to like, I know people were going to England and places like that, but I don't know. I think it was just a massive adventure. I mean, my parents grew up in a small town, another small town on the other side of Hamilton, of Toronto, like not far from Toronto, not an hour from Toronto. So to them, it was a massive adventure, and they were up for it, and off we went. But yeah, you had very little information. I mean, we exchanged letters with the family that we were exchanging houses with to like understand, what was available, what their house was like. They sent pictures in the mail. Like it's a completely different time. You guys look pretty young, so I'm going to guess that this is like you can't relate to anything that I'm telling you.
What's funny is I can relate a little bit because my parents did something similar, and they went and taught English in Japan for a couple of years. This was back in the early 90s, and I was born in Japan while they were there. So that was interesting. And I've been through the same thing being in an Asian culture because I had super blonde hair when I was a baby. Same thing. So I can confirm what you're saying. People were coming up and like touching my hair and taking pictures of me just for being the only blonde baby in the whole country. So
yeah, quite something that, isn't it?
yes. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been back since, but I'm going back this year, so I'm excited to visit my birthplace. So
How old were you when you left Japan?
I don't remember anything there, unfortunately. That's why I need to go back to make my own memories. But so I want to ask, before we talk about your book, definitely want to dive into that. I want to ask about Fly Travel Radio, your podcast, because I know you've interviewed hundreds of people about their untold stories from travel and adventures. I just want to ask, what's one interview you did that was unexpected, just one that really sticks out to you that was particularly crazy?
I mean, there's so many, but there was one, and this is not a real happy story, but this was one where you had to be on your game as an interviewer. So there was this man who had done a lot of work with NGOs back in the day, Doctors Without Borders and things like that. And he was living in a country in Africa, and I can't remember what country it was, but he was a pilot and he would fly cargo or goods or people or whatever it is that he needed to do for this NGO. And there was a day where I forget, I mean, it was a while ago that we had this interview. I forget the specifics, but he was going somewhere and basically he was kidnapped by a group of young boys that were in a bit of a gang and were quite scary and violent with guns and blah, blah, blah. So this was a story that I didn't see coming and it was really, really interesting. And we had talked, in and off and on about his life. He'd lived in Africa for many, many years. And we talked about like the adventures and the culture and the food and the this and the that. And then all of a sudden we were going into this territory of a story like this. And it was the first time that he'd ever talked about it. And he was doing it, at that point it was a radio show, so he was doing it on air. And that's the story sometimes it jumps out at me because he really was thankful that he was finally in a place where he could share a story like that, and was older when he told it and could kind of appreciate and understand it from the other side, like from the side of these boys that had done this. And I mean, they all, they came out in one piece and they escaped, but it was a lot of trauma that he lived with for a lot of years. So that was a fascinating story that wasn't always in sync with, the feel good fun stories. But that's also, a glimpse into the fact that it's not always, butterflies and unicorns when you go away. And when you're somebody who likes this kind of lifestyle, or, traveling is full of risk and excitement, and sometimes things go south. So that's one of the stories. I mean, I have millions of stories. I mean, millions might be pushing it, but we'll say hundreds. I interviewed people that walked literally across Africa for 2.5 years, people that cycled home from China to Canada through like 30 to 40 different countries, and obviously had to navigate an ocean in there. But there's a woman I've interviewed a few times from England who she traces the route of women from like the 1900s, 1800s that nobody really talks about. They talk about the men who are explorers. They don't often talk about the women. So she researches all these women, and then she does like a portion or a segment of a massive hike or expedition that they would have done wearing the clothes and that they would have had at that time. So she does it without any modern day equipment. So people like that, I mean, I could tell you lots of interesting, fun stories. But those are probably, when I think back to this show, those are probably the people for me that always stand out. I mean, people do some pretty amazing things. And often people would say, because, I've done a lot of stuff, but it was never really about me. It's like some people have just done some wild things, and it's important that we hear about it.
That's cool. How did you find all these people? Did they reach out to you or different?
Well, yeah, I was like a one-woman show, so I did everything. So I found them usually. So I went down the rabbit hole on the internet to find people. And I think sometimes a topic would grab me, or you'd hear of something. And then as soon as you start researching a topic, it's amazing where you land an hour or two later on the internet. So yeah, typically I would search for them, but once in a while, as my audience grew, they would come to me as well. So it was a bit of both. But the research is actually really quite fascinating. I love that part. You learn a lot about people, and it's a good gig, right? Like meeting people like this. It's fascinating. It's inspiring. Not everyone is at home watching Netflix, although I also enjoy that too.
Yes, we all need that sometimes.
Totally.
So your book, definitely want to dive into this. The full name of the book is The People You Meet: Luxury, Leeches, Love, and Lao-Lao, with a host of interesting characters in Southeast Asia. Can you tell us what this book is about, maybe what this title means, maybe what Lao-Lao means? Because I don't even know what that is.
Well, Lao-Lao is a drink. So it's like their local moonshine in that country, and it will knock you on your ass. So that's what that means. This is a book that, so here's the story. So back in 2010, I was 35 at the time. I took a trip with a partner through Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, and China. And the purpose of the trip for my partner was because he worked in luxury travel and he was researching hotels and routes for potential clients. And I was just along for the ride. So most of the trip was actually backpacking. There was probably 10% was luxury, which was very welcome sometimes because we were in some really dodgy places. And I got a little bit cagey. So I love traveling, I love exploring, but after a few weeks, when it's a long haul trip, I do get a little bit cagey without a purpose. And I think that's something that has changed a little bit with travel, and we can talk about that in a minute. But he, I mean, was on more of a mission, and I was just sort of there, which is fun. I'm not, who doesn't love a trip that's completely planned out for them? But yeah, I started to get a little bit crazy. So on these long buses and trains, because there were many, many, many of them, sometimes like 36-hour train rides and buses, etc., I would start thinking about what I was seeing and what I was doing. And then I started crafting these emails that I would send home once a week to friends and family. And back then we did not have cell phones. So you'd find an internet cafe, or you would be lucky to have a computer in the reception of your hotel. So once a week, I would send these emails home to people, and they loved them and started sending them to their friends and family. So I got some good feedback there. And then, yeah, I decided years later, I mean, that was 15 years ago. So I've been in and out of this project a lot. And then about 2 years ago, I finally decided to go for it. And I took the emails, I edited them, and I created this book. So basically, it's a travel memoir. It's very honest, it's very funny, and it basically takes you on the journey with me through all of these countries, and you learn about the countries, you learn about the geography, the history, the people, the food. But you feel like you're there with me. My style is very much like I'm talking directly to the reader. And many people say, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm right beside you, which is great because there's a lot of things in there that a lot of people hope to never do because they were scary. For the most part, most of it was amazing, but some things are like, oh boy, if I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have gotten up that day to do that adventure. So there's a bit of that. But it's good. It's fun. It's easy. It's a really fast read. It's a quick read. It will inspire people to have adventures, or it's even, if you're not even an adventurous person, it's just a really fun armchair story to read through. But that's basically the Cole's notes of it. And yeah, it's funny. It's funny. I'm going to tell you, it's funny. So yeah, that's what the book is about. And yeah, it's been on the Amazon bestseller list a couple of times. And people are already asking for the next book. So that's a pretty good indication that this has legs, this story.
That's pretty cool. So if you're going to have a second book, would it be just more of maybe emails that didn't make it in the first book, or?
I've wrapped up this story. Like there's a lot in there and I don't hide a lot. So it's very honest. It's quite a vulnerable story as well. But I mean, since then I've done a lot of trips, through other parts of the world. So in 2023, I was very lucky to take a year off from my day job. And I know there's quite a few stories from that trip in itself. I was in, Quebec City was the kickoff, and then I was in South America and Europe and Mexico and a few things around Canada. So there's more stories to tell, that's for sure.
Give us one sneak peek, maybe a little something from that 2023 trip that sticks out that you think should make it into the book.
Oh, I mean, again, there's so many things. Like I did I don't know if you've been to Bolivia, that Jeep trip through the salt flats there, but that in itself, you're basically crammed into a very uncomfortable Jeep for 3 or 4 days with whoever else ends up in your lap on that trip. So, I mean, I don't have any specific things I'm going to share with that right now, but that's an experience in itself that's very uncomfortable, very unpleasant, but the scenery is just like nothing I've ever seen. Bolivia is one of the most beautiful places ever. I did a cycling trip through Croatia where I had a roommate who ended up drinking too much and threw up all over my room, all over my backpack, all over my bed, and she was 65, not 25.
Oh.
Too much drinking. I mean, I got stories. There's stories.
Did she make it through the whole bike ride, or
Yeah,
what?
she was totally fine. I mean, most people would have been in the hospital. She was on her bike the next day. She was totally fine. But my experience through that was pretty horrifying. I had to make an emergency trip to the laundromat due to what happened in our room. And yes, it was very gross, very, very gross. Projectile vomiting like I've never seen in my entire life, yet was able to get on her bike the next day as if nothing happened at 65. Anyway, lots of stories. There's lots of stories. I mean, and not even from that year. Like the more you go out every time on a trip, there's always stories. I was in Colombia for 3 weeks in December. There's always stories. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So next book is in the works, but we haven't made it there yet.
Let's talk about, I think I saw on your website you talking about escapism a little bit, or escapism issues, the need to practice more mindfulness. I don't know. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, how do you reconcile the draw of escapism with the need for self-care, especially when you're on the move or chasing those next stories?
I mean, I think as you get older, travel changes quite a bit. When I was younger, I drank a lot of beer when I was traveling. And if you read this book, you're going to discover that to be very, very true.
Us too. We can relate to that part for sure.
And I still do. I mean, when I was in Colombia, I don't think there was a single day that there wasn't something involved there. But I do think, yeah, things change a little bit with self-care. I mean, you cannot carry on like that as you get a little bit older. It's exhausting, it's expensive, it's too much. So that's one thing that does change a little bit. But for me, the biggest thing about self-care is recognizing when it's time to go home. So when I was on this trip that was in the book in 2010, my partner actually stayed a lot longer than I did. I was on the road for 4 months. He was on the road for 9. And I think you have to recognize when you're done. And there's a lot of ego in travel that there's a lot of competition with who's on the road longest sometimes. Like, oh, I've been out for 3 months. Well, I've been out for 6. Well, I've been out for 8. There's a lot of that. And I don't love that. And I think you can get to a point where you've seen and done enough for that trip. And sometimes you just keep going for bragging rights. And that's really unhealthy.
Yeah.
So that's something that I actually learned on this trip. I was 35 at the time and I hadn't learned that yet. And I was with a woman there. I'd met her on my trip and she was amazing. She was in her 50s at that point. She had done more than anyone I've ever met in my life to this day. And I remember one day she looked across at these two young girls in their 20s who were backpacking, and she looked at me and said, they need to go home. And I said, what are you talking about? She's like, you can tell that they're done. They're not like they're done. And she said that is one of the most important things to realize as a traveler, that when it's over, it's over. And it's not over forever, but it's over for that time. So that was a huge lesson for me. And on my trip, I didn't know how long I'd stay out on the road for. And I knew after 4 months that I also was done. And I think that that's a lesson that I have carried with me moving forward. And the symptoms of that are different for everybody. For me, I was no longer enjoying it. It was becoming a job. I was no longer seeing things, like I was no longer appreciating anything. Nothing had any significance anymore. And I was just craving normalcy. And so that to me, in my current life, so that was 15 years ago. So now in that same way for self-care, when I was off in 2023, I planned things much differently. I would go away. The longest I was ever away was 8 or 9 weeks. And then I would come back and regroup for a few weeks and then go out on the road again. And that can be different. That was me actually going back to Toronto. But for some people, that could be just having a home base somewhere for a few weeks and just not doing anything, like in another country. Depends on your money, depends on your situation. But I think that's one thing that has changed a lot in terms of self-care. And maybe wasn't what you were looking for, but this is my interpretation of it.
Yeah.
But I think that's really important. And it's interesting because we all travel differently. And this whole like competition thing with travel and the way you travel, are you on your own? Are you with a friend? Are you doing group trips? Who cares what you're doing? Just do what speaks to you and what makes you happy. But yeah, you have to really listen to yourself and look after yourself, because travel fatigue is very real and no one really wants to talk about it. Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah. Yep. We've talked to several people on this show that have experienced travel fatigue, and yeah, there's a balance to it. I think for sure you don't want to overdo it and then burn yourself out on travel. You got to do it in the way that works for you. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah. And this whole like concept of slow travel was not really a term back then. I mean, in my experience, we were always on the move. Like every 2 days you're on the go, which I actually really love that, but it is exhausting. So there's a lesson to learn in that as well. And the buzz of slow travel, it's such a key word now, is it's real, right? And so it's important. And the world has changed drastically. I mean, with the internet, with people being able to work while they travel if they want to, or there's a million things you can now access that you couldn't before, like day trips or like painting nights in a city, or whatever it is that you want to do. That was not that did not exist back in the day. So the whole world of travel has changed so much. It's actually much easier than it used to be, I think.
Yeah, I definitely like slow travel a lot more than fast travel. I don't know if fast travel is a real word or that's just like called like going on vacation.
Well, who knows, right? But I mean, yeah, like when we were on our trip in Southeast Asia, I think we spent maybe 3 or 4 nights at the most in one spot, maybe once 5. And it's very, very tiring. But some people love that. There is like a real buzz of like, those travel days. I love travel days, like going somewhere new. It can be super fun.
Yeah. I really experience travel fatigue quite a bit, and I'm enjoying having like a home base and potentially, like traveling from there more.
I'm with you on that. I think that's my new thing as well. And then it also, like, if you have a home base somewhere that's not your real home, you kind of feel like you're part of the community and you get to see what life is like there, and you can meet locals, and yeah, it's totally different. I'm with you. I like that more and more myself.
Yeah, I feel it's nice to have a break. And then also, I think another thing is I feel like it's more exhausting to travel by yourself, at least because I have to be more outgoing.
Yes.
And I think that always, that just, I'm more of an introvert, but it takes more energy.
I find that too. I will do it. I mean, I was on my own in Mexico for a few weeks and here and there, but I don't love it. I don't love traveling by myself either. Sometimes I do, and there are those moments, right, where you're like, "Oh my God, I have the ultimate freedom to do whatever I want." And that there's nothing that beats that. But I find that after a week or 2 or 3 weeks, it's enough. I find it very challenging. And it's a lot of decision making, right? You have no one to bounce anything off. You have no one to like have your back. And that can be very tiring too.
Totally. You got to look out for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would, get drunk and puke on someone if I was like myself.
Well, if you're a 65-year-old woman from England, you might. But anyway.
Yeah, maybe that's just the thing they do there.
Who knows? Anyway, yeah. I mean, yeah, aren't we lucky that all these different like ways of being on the road exist now? And the world of travel has changed drastically. I mean, look at like even these companies, like a company like G Adventures, who they are like an adventure travel company, but now they have like health and wellness trips, they have National Geographic trips, they have family trips, they have active trips. Like there's something for everybody now in the world of travel. It wasn't, before everything was like under one umbrella, but it's not like that anymore.
One last thing, I feel like we've talked about this where we are kind of, all three of us are kind of born at the perfect time, intersection of technology and travel, to be able to do it, almost pretty easily. We always say like people who don't do it think it's very difficult to pull off, but really it isn't. You just kind of download some apps and book a flight and book an accommodation. It's just so easy nowadays to see the world.
Much easier than it used to be. And there's pros and cons to that too, right? But it's not like the world of paper maps and guidebooks and like just having a hope and a wing and a prayer that it all works out. Those days are done. I mean, now you have a GPS, you can meet people in a hostel before you even get to the hostel due to like chats and things like that. So it's a completely different world.
So I've heard you reference wild and occasionally questionable ideas. So I'm curious, what is one idea that you had, maybe in your travels, something that you went for, maybe it paid off or maybe it didn't pay off?
Well, I can tell you about an experience that we had. It's in the book, but I think the thing is that I think your trust and your level of safety changes, right? When you are on the road. Like the things we do when we're away, we would probably never do them in our own countries. And it's so funny how that just goes directly out the window, right? Like in Canada, I would never jump into the back seat of a car of like with somebody that I didn't know or a driver or whatever. But when you're away, it's like, yeah, this person wants to drive me somewhere, I'll go. Like it's just stuff is just so funny because we would never do it. And it's like, why are we trusting random people that we cannot even communicate with? And we would not do that at home. And then like safety measures, like there's, Canada is like probably too safe sometimes in certain things. And then you go to other places where there's no handrail on the side of a cliff that you're walking on. There's, the whitewater rafting in places that you probably shouldn't be. And I mean, that's part of the fun. But I would say that one of the craziest things that I did on this trip that's in this book is that we were in the middle of nowhere in rural China. And we stayed in what is called a tulu, which is a roundhouse, which is exactly as it sounds. And these are these massive fortresses that were built in, I think, the 18th century, but I cannot remember. And they house like hundreds of people, like 800 people could live there. And it's a community within China that lives there. They're called the Hakka community. And there's not a lot of Hakka people left. So we went to this place and it was terrifying. So you can, as a tourist, you can still go and stay there, but not many people do. You have to, it's more intrepid people, I would say, would do this. So we took this bus there. We slept for a night in this place where it's like you have a bucket for what. There's one light bulb. There's a bed made of like straw and wooden planks. and a padlock, and you're like with all these people, like hundreds of people that still live authentically like this, in the middle of nowhere. So I would say that's something that's questionable, that
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd do it again. I survived to tell the tale. It was nuts. So things like that, these are the things you do when you're away, and you live to tell the tale, and some things you don't need to repeat again. Fun to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing is like, this is the beauty of being away, is you have no idea what's going to happen to you every day. And maybe that's why we do it, right? Like when you're working in your regular life, it's pretty predictable what's going to happen Monday through Sunday. And that's pretty boring. So I think that's really the allure, right? You just have no clue what's going to happen the second you wake up.
I feel like Jack, you and me, we get bored easily. So that's why we do this travel lifestyle, because it's always interesting.
I always think, do I really have that serious of a work situation? I need to just be hanging out in my apartment all day. Like I could go somewhere and it would be fine. It would be maybe a little bit more fun.
Do you guys have like, so you have day jobs, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bittersweet, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's fully remote, so
That's
flexible. All I got to do is type on my laptop.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
That's great. And so are you like, where do you live?
I live in Miami currently.
Nice.
Yeah, I like the warm weather situation.
And what about you, Steve?
I don't have a home base. It's funny we're talking about home bases. I haven't had one really for 5 years. Just every few months, I move to a different place. So I've been in Quebec for the last couple of months now.
Oh, nice. That's great. Are you planning to stay there for the winter, or are you leaving soon?
I'm leaving. Yeah, I'm not big on cold weather either. So I'm going to be in Mexico and Florida for the winter. So,
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
yeah,
Good for you.
yeah.
Yeah, like the snow that will start flying in Quebec City is pretty intense. So if that's not for you, you're wise to get out of there.
I would love to see it. Like, I'm sure it would be beautiful in the old town and just all Christmassy and nice. But as far as the temperature goes, I don't think I'd want to be here the whole time for that. Like, if I could just see the first snowfall and then leave, that would be perfect.
Yeah. It's beautiful, but yeah, you have to like dress properly for it, because I think when I lived there, I mean, you're in Fahrenheit, but it was minus 50 at one point, so that's really cold.
I mean, if you're talking about minus anything, it doesn't matter if it's Fahrenheit or Celsius. That sounds cold.
But you mentioned this G Adventures. I see that you went to Jordan with them, right? And you were in Wadi Rum. I also did something similar, and that's a pretty hot place.
Yeah, super hot. I love Jordan. Did you like it?
Yeah, actually, it was one of my favorite places I ever visited. I feel like there's so much to see.
Yeah.
So good, and the weather was great.
And the people are very generous there. Like, I don't know what your experience was, but for me, they just come up to you in the street and like give you things like figs and food and tea, and like, I don't know. I just found them to be very kind and very relaxed and lovely people. And it's a beautiful country. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely underrated. Honestly, I kind of went there out of convenience, but no one was giving me things in the street in Amman. But I felt like in Wadi Rum and like more further down south, like people were super nice and outgoing, and I love that.
Yeah, Wadi Rum is beautiful. Jordan was my last trip right before COVID. Like basically I landed March, I don't know, 7th or something, and then the world shut down like a few days later. So that will always stand out to me about, that was a bit of a marker for COVID, but yeah, it's a beautiful country.
Yeah, I loved it. We did the whole camping with the Bedouins out there. And that was so fun. I feel like the stars,
Yeah.
In the desert with no light pollution was incredible. And then, going to the Dead Sea, there's just so many little fun things to do. So
Yeah, it's beautiful. I loved it too. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, there's like so many things to see in this world, right?
I know, such a small country, but kind of a big deal in history. So
Oh, huge. Yeah, not an easy place either for history. But yeah, very, very nice.
Also, a lot of things to eat. So I'm curious about food, some of the things you've eaten. I don't know, maybe since the book is about China, Southeast Asia, is there during your time there, like, did you have a go-to snack, just something that would always make you happy, would always hit, as the kids say these days?
I think in Thailand you can't go wrong. I mean, the street food on Thailand is so good. Like, I always ate cashew, like the cashew chicken rice, whatever, extravaganza. And it's just fun, right? They always bring out these makeshift tables and chairs on the sidewalk. And there's like, you don't really want to watch too closely as to how they're cleaning the dishes in the pail beside you, but whatever. I didn't get sick. But I think the food in Thailand is so, 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 so good. I mean, I remember landing there at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and right away we were eating at a market across the street from our guest house, and it's delicious. So that, and then I loved all the when you're taking the bus around there and they just stop at random places on the side of the road and it's just like a makeshift canteen or whatever. I mean, just always the soup there is good. Everything is good. I would say though, I did not love the food in Lao. That is not so good for me. It was pretty bland. Vietnam, of course, is very good. Cambodia, the food is excellent. They have several dishes there that are traditional and it's really, really good. China, I did not like the food at all and cried many times into my meals there. Yeah, no, did not like it.
Really? Okay, interesting.
No,
what do you like about it?
I was disgusting. What did I not like about it? It was very greasy and like, I mean, it depends where you are. In Beijing and Shanghai, well, you can probably find some things there that are, Shanghai is like being in Europe, really. To me, it did not feel like you're in Asia at all. Beijing is much more traditional Asian. But I just found that like everything had a lot of fat on it in terms of like the meat and greasy, and I just didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. It was the first time I've ever like sprinted to a Pizza Hut in my life. Well, I don't usually do that, but I did do that there. But one of the most questionable things I had was in Vietnam. So I don't know if you guys have been there, but if you do like a water market thing, so you get in a boat and you go to the water market. So everything is on a boat. So every boat sells something different, or they all sell a whole bunch of different things together. So they will motor over to you to try to sell you stuff, or you go to them. And this one morning, they sold us these sandwiches with meat in them, and I have no idea what the meat was. It was really questionable, and I have never forgotten that. So, sometimes you just have to do it, or you're that hungry, but that was pretty gross. I don't know. I don't think it was any kind of meat I've ever had before, so I think we all know where we're heading here.
Oh,
But yeah, that was gross. Yeah, and I've had
Anything once,
yeah, like I've had guinea pig in Peru. That's also for
that
me.
too.
Like it. Did you like it?
I liked it. It was very bony, but the meat itself, like when I could get it out of the bones, it was pretty good. It was similar to chicken, but I liked it.
But I'm going to ask you this. When you had yours, was the head of the guinea pig still on your plate and the claws? Because that's what I had. The head was like, it was like nothing. Nothing had been removed. It was just like a guinea pig had been dipped in a deep fryer.
No,
Oh.
they made it look all nice, and it didn't look cute anymore to me. So
Well,
Yeah.
you were lucky. Because
yeah.
that's hard, right? Like it's a cultural thing for us because we don't eat that, and that's fine. But it's hard to get your head around it when their head is still on the plate. So
And I had a guinea pig as like a pet as a kid.
exactly.
It's like a different kind of level there, right?
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, you got to try everything once, and we did, and life goes on. But yeah, Food is fun, right? Food is part of the journey. And if you are heading to Mexico, you said, and I think Mexico has some of the best food of any place,
Me
really.
too. It might be my favorite in the world, which it's not that fun to say because it's so close to where I'm from in the US, but it really is my favorite food. I like spicy things and it just really hits the spot every time.
Where are you going in Mexico?
I'm going to Cabo this time. I've been all around the country, but I've never been to Cabo or Baja, so gonna check that out.
Yeah, I love Mexico. It's one of the only places I will go back to repeatedly. Like I really try not to go places more than once, but I have a soft spot for Mexico and it's so big, so many different parts of it. So it's special for sure.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Yeah, Jack and I go back there all the time. It is convenient to get to, for us, so that helps.
Yeah, we meet up. My first day, I eat like 20 tacos. I kind of get my stomach back like in Mexico shape,
Yeah.
and then I'm good.
Yeah. I did get quite sick in Mexico 2 years ago, but whatever. It happens. But yeah, it's such a nice country. I love it. It's so beautiful.
So let's talk about drinking. We've covered food. Well, we'll never fully cover food. We could talk about food for hours if we wanted, but that we'll stop there and then we'll say drinking. Is there a drink that sticks out to you that you've had in the world? Maybe alcoholic, maybe not. Alcoholic might be more fun to talk about though. There's more stories.
Oh,
What do you got for us?
I think my favorite is the pisco sour in Peru. I love that. It's
Love
so
those.
good. But the story that I was referring to with that woman that threw up in my room, that was like after drinking copious amounts of what is it called? Rakija, I think, in Croatia. That's like whatever it is, homemade moonshine, we'll call it. That's really gross, actually. But I think those are the tough moments as you get older. Like back in the day, right? Like you guys are still young, you can do it. But when you go to places where they're like, because in Croatia when I was there, we were on a bike tour. So this night they're just like giving you copious amounts of rakia and then like infinite wine and like it's just a recipe for disaster, right? But I like beer. Like when I'm away traveling, I love drinking different beers from around the world. Like I love the beer in Czech, like Czech beers. So
Oh yeah. That's where Jack and I met each other. Was in the Czech Republic, and we had some Czech beers, and we've been friends ever since. So that's saying something.
Really, because of the beer.
Yeah.
I can totally see that how that would happen. Yeah, I mean that's fun, right? Beer is fun. So and it's the safest route, really, but I do love a good cocktail and I do love those pisco sours. They are amazing.
Yeah, I slammed a lot of pisco sours in Peru. They were great.
I just had one the other day here in Quebec City. We went to a Peruvian restaurant just to get pisco sour. We didn't even eat the food because we already had dinner reservations, but we just went and got pisco sours at the bar.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you do that? So yeah, those are good. I also discovered in Europe a few years ago the Hugo Spritz. Have you had that?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like a Aperol spritz, but it's minty or something, right? Is that
Flower or something? I thought.
Yes. Yeah. I don't like Aperol Spritz. I think it's disgusting, but I do love a good Hugo Spritz. That's fun. So
those
yeah,
are good?
those are good.
I'm going to Italy next week, so I might have to sample the Aperol Spritz. I'm hoping they're the best there.
Oh, really? I just don't like them. What is it that anyone likes about an Aperol Spritz? What do you like about it?
I feel like it's like I don't know. I feel like I've drank so many of them now. It's like this familiar taste
Yeah,
that I kind of like. Like
okay,
does that make sense at all? Like
sure.
almost like acquired taste. I don't know.
Jack, get the Hugo while you're over there, though.
Yeah, compare it. It's much better in my mind. I've not been to Ireland yet, but I do want to like drink Guinness there. Have you guys been there?
Oh
Never.
yes. It's so much better there. I know it's a cliche at this point to say, but it's not even comparable to if you've ever had a Guinness in North America or even in other parts of Europe. It's just not the same. Like out of the tap in Ireland, it is maybe the best beer in the world.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Like it tastes completely different there than anywhere else. So that's a must. I must do that. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Cool.
speaking of the Netflix, we all watch Netflix now, I guess. Like we got to watch that Guinness show that just came out, right?
I know. I haven't seen it yet. Have you guys seen it?
Haven't yet.
I started it. I'm a few episodes in. It's honestly not that good. It's not.
Oh, okay.
Again, my attention span is short. But not that I can't watch a show, but it needs to be really good and really engaging, and it's just not doing it for me. I don't think I'm going to make it through this season. But you guys should watch it and then let me know if I'm wrong, because I could be.
That's fair.
Okay, we'll do a follow-up episode.
Yeah.
Do you watch on Apple TV, have you watched any of the motorcycle, what is it called? Long Way Home, Long Way Down, Long Way Around, Ewan
No.
McGregor and Charlie Boorman? Oh my God, you have to watch this. I don't know if you're into motorcycles. I'm not, but it's so good. They've been doing this since around 2007, maybe around there. And they go on all these amazing adventures around the world and document everything. Anyone who travels must watch those shows. They are so good. And it's just like about traveling with your buddy, but the things they get into, and you've got to watch it. That's my recommendation to both of you.
Okay.
I don't know if I could ever do the motorcycle thing, but I could watch a show about it.
Exactly. Same.
I'm gonna crash it. Like I just know it's a recipe for disaster, me on a motorcycle.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I've been on many in Southeast Asia. I'm sure you guys have too, but I could never drive one myself.
Yeah, and I'm a new Bali guy, and that was where we did most of the moto taxis, and it was just scary every time. But you could get a car, but the thing is, the traffic is so bad that if you want to actually get there in any reasonable amount of time, you got to take the taxi.
Oh yeah. I mean, sometimes there's no option except for that, right? I remember like massive backpack back in the day and having to get on one of those things. It's like, oh my God. But they know what they're doing.
I know, but then sometimes they roll up, they don't have a helmet for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, it's like 3 a.m. I'm getting on the back of this, like this kid looks like he's 12.
I know. Well, you see, that's the thing. We just throw all the safety out the window.
Yeah.
Pray. And never tell your parents what you're up to.
I guess it is a little bit comforting that I'm not driving, at least a local is driving.
Yeah,
All I
exactly.
gotta do is hold on. And I hold on pretty tight. They probably don't like picking me up, but I'm a little white knuckled about it.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, I've been there. Scary. I mean, driving in general in that part of the world is petrifying, right? With like what's coming at you on the highway, and nobody there's no rules, right? Everyone just like lays on the horn and they just go for it, pass whoever they need to pass. It's terrifying.
Yeah, somehow they make it
I
through
know.
their every day. I don't get it.
I'm with you. I don't get it either. It's terrifying.
All right. Wrapping up here, Melissa, is there anything else you want to tell our audience?
No, I think we covered a lot of things, but I will just tell people where they can get this awesome book, The People You Meet,
Yeah.
by me, Melissa Rodway, subtitle Luxury, Leeches, Love, and Lao-Lao, with a host of interesting characters in Southeast Asia. So the best place is probably on Amazon. But yeah, I think it's a really fun story, and I think, like as I said, if you're a traveler or even not a huge traveler, it's a good read. It's worth reading, and I'm pretty honest, so there's no holding back. You're gonna know exactly how I feel about pretty much everything, and that can be a good thing. And I think that's it. I think, yeah, people just need to get out there and see the world in the way that's comfortable for them. And there's also a lot you can do in your own backyard. Canada, I know every time I go on a trip in Canada, I actually wonder why I go anywhere else, because there's so many beautiful
It's amazing. Yeah,
and the
I
States
agree.
too. The States is also super beautiful. It's got a beautiful, like, variety of geography. But yeah, I just think people need to go out there on their own terms and see things and create their own adventures. It's how we learn about the world and each other, and how to treat people kindly, and to realize that we really are all this like looking for the same things, and it's not such a big scary world out there. Everyone's just trying to make it through the day, no matter where you live. So I think it's a really important thing to do. It's a good education.
Is it on audiobook at all? I like to listen to audiobooks. Is that
I
a
keep
possibility?
hearing that. Not yet, but it's
Okay.
everyone keeps telling me that they don't want to read, they want to listen. So I will get on it, but I haven't made it there yet.
Well, you could be the narrator. You have a lovely voice. You could talk us through everything. And who better to narrate it than you, obviously.
You know what's funny? I mean, yes, if it comes to be, I will definitely do it. But I was at this book festival and this man came up to me and he said, it's like, oh, your book, it's awesome. It's really great. And if you're looking for a voice-over artist, I would be happy to do it for you. And I'm like, this book is about a woman. There is no place for a man to narrate my story. That was very interesting. Yeah, compliments. I will do it.
Well, I do know how to read as well, so I can read for now, and I will read it. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate. Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. I'm envious of you being in Quebec City. It's one of my favorite places in the world.
That's great.
And enjoy
Great.
your times together in Quebec, or in Mexico, if you're meeting up there. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and looking forward to reading the book.
Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.